Hi, everybody. I'm Alice K. Ruckelhaus from SufferingWell. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how important trusting God is in order to have contentment in difficult times. I think you can maybe be content in things that aren't really big trials, but when it comes to the kinds of things that make us sin, it's probably important to trust God to be able to do that. So let's talk about that in a moment. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about how to build your faith and how to trust God because we just finished a whole really in-depth series about that. So I'll link that below in the description box and you can watch that to your heart's content. We go into it with, some really deep specifics. But I want to talk to you about why it's important to trust God and to be able to trust God in these situations in order to be content. So if you don't have faith, if you don't trust God, then you can't really believe that things are going to work out for your good, especially when things don't work out the way that we think that they should work out, or the way that we as humans specifically think that things should work out. For example, in my next video, I'm going to talk about a time when I was afraid that I would become homeless. And you'll hear in that how I had to work through this to the point where I could trust God even if I was homeless. And even if it resulted in me being on the cold streets of Minnesota, sick and dying, I could still trust God. I had to get to that place in order to be content. Otherwise, you're not going to be content. You're going to be worrying, and you're really going to be thinking, I need to do something so that I can have things the way that I need them to be, because you think of those things as needs. And when we do that, that's when we sin. We've talked about that in the last few videos, so I'm not going to go over that again. But when we're not content, when we don't really believe that God has control, then that leads us to thinking, to that pride of thinking that we know better than God. It leads us to being discontented, and it leads us to sin. So I just wanted to mention that. And then I also wanted to mention to you that we have done a whole series of videos on how to trust God. And so we have more coming in the future because we have a lot more tips about how to trust God, and also a lot more in-depth lessons. But this will give you a really, really good beginning that totally applies to this. So go ahead and look in the description box below and you'll find those videos. I love you all. Thank you so much for being with us on this journey that we've been taking. We do have one more video, but I want to ask you right now to go ahead and put in the comments what has really struck you in this series. Has it made a difference in your life somehow? And if so, if you could give us an idea of what. We're not asking for personal details unless you want to share them, but we're not saying that you need to. But just, just so that we can know, like what is really helping people and what really doesn't help people, and so on, so that we know what we need to offer to you in the future. And if you have a particular topic that you would like us to cover, hopefully something that has to do with suffering well, but that's a pretty broad description. We consider sin to be a form of suffering. Temptation definitely is a form of suffering. And there are a lot of other things too. So if you have any questions about how to suffer well, or any particular thing, if we don't know the answer, we will research, we will find it, we will talk to priests and pastors, we will find the answer for you to the best of our ability. So we would love to hear from you. We love you. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.